This is me second part of my discussion on painful surgery. But surgery isn't genuinely painful until after the anaesthetic wears off. Today people can experience a fair amount of pain after they've had the operation, but it's usually not until after the anaesthetic wears off. It's in a very small cases you might experience anaesthesia awareness, where the anaesthetic doesn't quite work properly for some reason, or that's only in very rare cases. But the thing is, we've been doing surgical procedures for thousands of years, and probably at least 95% of them have been done with little or no anaesthetic. And this is what you see in the diagram here. This is an illustration from a series of magazines called the Book of Life. It's my dad used to buy these magazines when I was a baby. This is a diagram of an amputation being performed before the invention of anaesthesia. We've tried using various methods to ease the pain of operations over the alcohol, various types of drugs, but the first reliably documented use of a general anaesthetic what wasn't until 1804 in Japan. There was a Japanese surgeon who invented this method, who found a method that actually worked, but for some reason things progressed more slowly back then, because there wasn't the internet or anything, and anaesthesia didn't come until widespread use until the mid 1840s. But you can find countless references to the old methods of surgery in films and TV series. There was an episode of Xena the Warrior Princess, for instance, where this Xena the Warrior Princess points out that somebody has a gangrenous leg and is in need of an amputation. She's saying this leg is going to have to be cut off, and someone retorts, "You can't cut off a man's leg; it's cruel." But no matter what people thought about it, they did it back then. But there's also a film called Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. That's I think it's set in the 18th century, or maybe I think it's 18th century. I think, where there's a young boy of 12 or 13 having his arm amputated with no anaesthetic, and unfortunately we're spared his screams because the surgeon gives him something to bite on. And after it's over and done with, the surgeon remarks that he's never seen a braver patient. Well, children are usually more scared of pain than what adults are, but sometimes it can be the other way around in some cases, can't it? There's the 1973 horror Frankenstein: The True Story. The amputated man's arm in that. The only anaesthetic they use is alcohol, and if you watch the actual film, you'll gather that this isn't very effective. Fortunately, he doesn't stay conscious all the way through the experience, and this surgeon has found some method to keep his arm alive, after it's been dismembered. And if finds a way to bring a moth back to life from the dead, and that's how he comes up with this idea of creating a human being from parts of the dead bodies. There's the 1958 film Corridors of Blood. That's about a surgeon experimenting with anaesthesia. As I've said in the part one, anaesthetic-less surgery isn't something that's genuinely on a worldwide scale. It's very rarely done nowadays. I've heard the odd news reports of amputations being done without an anaesthetic, whether they're really done without an anaesthetic at all. But it was in other countries. I think it was in foreign countries where they were short of medical supplies. They were doing it, I think. And I did actually read in a magazine of about a woman in an iron lung, and she was rushed into hospital for an emergency appendectomy, and that was done without an anaesthetic, because in those days they didn't have the knowledge to give anaesthetic to general anaesthetic to an iron lung patient. But whether it was done without any anaesthetic at all, I don't know. But she survived it anyway. She did survive the operation. Didn't kill her. There was an incident in the Oklahoma City bombing of 1995. According to Wikipedia, there was more than one amputation done without anaesthetic as a result of that, to get people free from rubble. And there was one woman in particular that I know about, Dana Bradley. She was 20 at the time, and they had to amputate her leg to get her free from something, and depending on which news report you read, they either used minimal or no anaesthetic while they were doing it. I don't know. I've actually read one where it says the surgeon gave her a drug so she wouldn't remember it afterwards. But I don't know. They universally say that she wasn't fully anaesthetised while she was doing it. So I expect if they universally say the same thing, that's the truth. But have you ever experienced any sort of anaesthesia awareness during an operation, or have you found that you were very much in pain after you came out of the anaesthetic after your operation? What sort of experiences have you had with surgery? Just tell me about it in the comments below. Anyway, I'll be back soon with more reviews and discussions on various topics.